and welcome to this quick introduction to LangChain. In this introduction, we're going to learn what LangChain is, and we're going to put together a small demo. So let's get started. So what is LangChain? LangChain is a framework designed to simplify the integration of large language models, or LLMs like OpenAI's GPT, into various applications. It helps developers build systems that involve language models, interactions such as chatbots, knowledge-based systems, and more complex AI-driven solutions. LangChain is especially useful when you need to connect language models to external data sources, manage long conversations, and handle multiple tools and workflows. So what LangChain can do for us? So LangChain provides tools and abstractions to first connect language models with data. LangChain allows models to interact with external data sources like databases, APIs, or files, making it possible to create dynamic applications that rely on updated data and domain-specific knowledge. Also enables long-term memory. LangChain helps manage longer interactions by storing previous conversations data into memory. This is crucial for applications where the context needs to be maintained over long conversations. Also, chain different components together. You can combine different actions or steps into workflows or chains from LangChain. For example, you could use a chain to handle a conversation that needs to look up information in a database and then generate a response. Also, you can interact with external tools. LangChain supports interacting with APIs and other external services during the language model's execution. For example, if the AI needs to look up real-time stock prices, LangChain can help make that request to an API. Also, it helps streamline the prompting. It helps with creating and managing prompts, ensuring that they are structured and modular, allowing for easier customization and testing. Some of the benefits of using LangChain, again, is modular. So LangChain modular approach makes it easy to plug in different components like API, databases, memory modules, and build application faster. It's also scalable. You can scale your application by chaining multiple tasks or workflows together. For instance, a customer support bot could handle multiple queries by chaining together an FAQ, database lookup, conversation management, and a response generator. Memory management, it allows long conversations to persist and refer later, which is ideal for building systems like personal assistants or customer service agents that need to remember past interactions. Also, some of the benefits is external tool integration. So the framework easily integrates with APIs and other external services, making it suitable for real-time applications that needs data from outside the language model's training. Also simplify complex applications by chaining smaller tasks and models together. LangChain allows developers to build more complex and robust applications without needing to reinvent the wheel for every component. So in short, LangChain is a framework that is going to provide many tools to make your AI development much easier, more scalable, and is going to allow you to create chains of different models and different components together in order to build different chainable prompt responses together. So now we're going to jump into building a simple LLM application. We're going to build a simple translator application using LangChain. So let's get started. Before we get started, I want to show you the documentation for LangChain. So in this guide, we can see some information about the architecture. So LangChain is a framework consisting of several pieces that the below diagram can show and see how they relate to each other. So there are different packages that contains the kind of like the core section of the language. So we can install them independently, but in most of your projects, you're going to have to install at least 2 or 3 different libraries in order to for them to work together. So the first one is the LangChain core. This package contains base abstractions of different components and ways to compose them together. Then we have the LangChain community. This package contains third-party integrations that are maintainable by the LangChain community. Here you can download like the LangChain for OpenAI to create a new chat, or the Anthropic, or many others that are available as well. Then we have LangChain, which is the main package that contains the chains, agents, and retrieval strategies that make up a application cognitive architecture. So we're going to need O3 for the basic application we're going to put together, and there's more features that you can learn more about in the documentation. So let's open up a new terminal and let's cd into your folder where you want to create the project. And for this one, we're going to use the JavaScript language, and we're going to use Node.js. So make sure you have Node.js installed in your computer. Dash version. Just double checking that I have my Node installed. If you don't have Node, you can go to nodejs.org and download Node.js from there. So in here, I'm going to create a new directory for our project. So I'm going to call this one LangChain _ Translator. I'm going to cd into this folder, and I'm going to open this up with VS Code. I'm going to hide this now and wait for this to open up. Let me bring it to the right monitor. There we go. So now that we're here, we can open a internal terminal here if you want, or you can keep using the other one. Just gonna open one here inside of the misspell the folder here. So let me just close this up really quick and rename it. All right, here we go. LangChain Translator. So let's open a internal terminal here. And in here, we're going to, let's create a new npm project by typing npm init-y. This is going to create our package.json here with the name of the project. In here, let's go right after main and let's type module. Now let's do a type module, so we can use the import statement. Let's also create a script of dev so we can run our nodemon. So nodemon app.js, and let's set the main file to app.js. So here, let's install the dependencies that we're going to need. We're going to do npm i-d in nodemon, which is the node monitor, so we can run our server or application. Then we're going to need to install using npm i. Let's use .env, and we're going to need LangChain. And we're gonna use add LangChain, and then /core, and we're going to hit enter here. So this is going to install the two libraries, the two main libraries that we're going to need. And then we're going to need the OpenAI. We're going to use OpenAI, and we're going to need an API key from OpenAI in order to create the application. So if we want to use OpenAI, or you can use any other LLM of your preferences, you have in the documentation some more information about that in here. So this is the command we just installed using LangChain and LangChain core. Now, if you want to install different LLMs, you can go to, let's see. So let's go ahead and use the OpenAI ones. So let's do npmi, let's do add LangChain /OpenAI. So in the documentation, there's a list of different LLMs that you can use, and in the community library, they might have one for like for an OpenAI, Anthropic, or maybe one of the other LLMs that are available there. So let's just hit enter here because we're going to use OpenAI, and you need to log into your OpenAI account and grab an API key. And we're going to create here two files. Let's do .env, and we're going to need our app.js. In the .env, we're going to create a environment variable called OpenAI underscore API underscore key equals, and here you're going to paste your API key from OpenAI. Is going to start with something like sk-prod like this. So just log into your account and paste the key here. I'm going to paste my API key here and then continue with the application. All right, so I pasted my API key and save the file. Now I'm inside of app.js, and here let's import .env so we can load all the environment variables. We just have one right now, but we can do .env .config to make sure all the environment variables are going to be loaded into the process that is running. So it's going to look at all the environment variables we have in that file, which is the OpenAI key, API key at the moment. And then we're going to start building the application here. So let's import the chat OpenAI from @LangChain /OpenAI. And we're going to initialize the model. So we're going to say const model. This is the model we want to use. And we're going to set this equals to a new chat OpenAI. And here we're going to pass a object and say that the model we want is the GPT-4o or any other model you want to use. So this will create the model, and then we could start creating a chat by saying import, and LangChain provides different classes for the different messages that we create or that we need for this model to pass to the model. We're gonna need the human message, and we're gonna need the system message as well. And that comes from LangChain core /messages. So with these two messages, we're gonna build a chat. So we're gonna say this is gonna be our chat. We're gonna say const messages equals an array, and here we're gonna do a new, let's start with the system message. And for the system message, we're going to say translate the following from English to, and I'm gonna pick a Spanish. You can pick any other language. And then the human message is going to be the message or the text that the user wants to translate. So I'm gonna say just hello world here. So we want to translate this text into whatever language you pick here. And you can try different languages just to see and verify that it's working fine. So now that we have that, we have the model, we have the messages or chat, and now we can call the model. So we can just say const results equals, and then we need to do await model, and then we can invoke the model and pass our messages. Then we could console log the result, and let's bring up our terminal here, and now we can run. Do we have a script here? We do have a script. We can do npm run def. That's gonna use node-mon to run the application. And let's see what we have here. We have a response, a AI message with some ID, the content, and you can see the text was translated to Spanish here. And then we have some other values in here, like the token usage, total tokens, and some more information in there. So basically, we have the application running. We can pass any message here, and it's going to translate it to the specific language here. So far, we initialized the model, created our chat, and invoke the model passing the chat here. Now, we got this hello message here, and if we just wanted to get the response or the translated text in this example, we could use something called a parser. And to use the parser, we need to import the parser. So we need to say import string output parser from LangChain /core/output parsers. Now we can create the parsers or initialize the parser by saying const parser equals new string output parser. And now we could use the parser instead of the together with the model. So we could say we have the result here. So let's bring the result down here, and let's just create, let's just say const content equals parser dot, then we need to do invoke, and then we can pass in the results here. And then instead of console logging result, this time we're going to console log content. So we invoke the model here. Oh, I forgot to do await here. Await and save. So we got the text that was the translation or the result here. So basically what we did, we invoked the model here. We got back the result, that long result that we console logged earlier. We created the parser, and the parser will, when we invoke the parser with the results, is going to give you back the exact content that was returned from the model. So right now these two are separate, but we could create a small chain or chain them together, so we don't have to do these two steps separately. So let's comment out this here. Let's comment this out here. And then what we're gonna do, we're gonna keep the messages, we're gonna keep the parser and the model. So we got three different components: our model, we have our messages, we have our parser. So here we're gonna create a chain, and we're going to, let's say const chain equals. So we want to change the model and the parser together. So we can say model the pipe, and then whatever output we get from the model, we're going to pipe it to the parser in here. And that is how we can create a very small chain. Now we could say again here const results equals let's just do a res, because we already created, we're not using result, but I want to create a different variable. So const res equals, and now we can say await, and now instead of calling the model or calling the parser, we can call out the chain that we created. We can do chain that invoke, and we can invoke the chain, and then we can pass our messages, right, or our chat. So we pass the messages to our chain, and the chain is going to pass those messages to the model, and whatever comes out of the model is going to be passed to the parser. And we're going to now console log res and just save, right? And we still get the output in there. So with this chain, this is a very small chain, but you can use different models. You can have multiple models chained together, so the output of one model can go to another model, and then you can continue chaining them together. So in here we create a simple one, but right now everything is working, and we have a simple translator that we can now continue and see what other features we can use to continue building the application. So the only problem we have right now with the way we have set up the application is that right now we have always the same message here. We are translating from English to Spanish, but what if we want to pick a different language? We could try to do this with some JavaScript using backticks and injecting a variable here, but there's a better way in LangChain. So what we can do is create something called a prompt template, and we can import the prompt template in here. So we're gonna say chat prompt template from LangChain core prompts, and we're going to scroll down here, and let's say this is the prompt template. So we need to create a system template. We can say const system template. We need the template, we need the message first, or yeah, we need the template message. So we're gonna say system template, that's fine, equals to, and then we're gonna use quotes, and we're gonna say translate the following to, and then here we're gonna do curly brackets, and then we're gonna say to language. So whatever we wrap into curly brackets here, when we actually create a instance of this template, anything in curly brackets is going to be turned into kind of like a variable that we can pass any values in there. So next is to create a prompt template. So here we're going to say const prompt template equals, and to make this more clear, this is a system template message, and prompt template is going to be a chat prompt template, and then we're going to call the dot from messages, and then we can pass in an array, so we can pass the messages for this prompt template. So in here we can pass the different messages in their own arrays. So here we're going to say system, and then here we're going to pass the system template message, or basically the prompt that we want to use. And then here we're going to do another array. We're going to say user. This is going to be the user message, and here we're just going to pass quotes, and this is going to create another variable with curly brackets, and we're going to say text. So we're going to create a new prompt template using chat prompt template dot from messages. This is going to be the system template message, so we pass in this prompt here, translate the following to, and then we're going to be able to pass a language here when we actually use the template. And then the second message for the user, we can pass in a text with this variable that gets created here. So we're going to say const, let's say prompt results equals, and then we're going to say await, and we're going to use the prompt template that we created, and then we're going to do dot invoke, and here we need to pass a object, and we need to pass the values that are going to be used inside of this prompt template that we created. So we need to pass a language value and a text value here. So we're going to say language, and here I'm going to say Italian this time, and then we're going to pass the text that we want to translate, and I'm going to pass again hello world. And this time let's comment these out, because we're not using these at the moment. The chain, the response, yeah, we can comment that out. And down here we can console log the prompt results, and let's save it. Now if we look down here, we have the result from the chat prompt value, which is what we console log in here. And if we scroll down, we see the prompt here, and then we're gonna see the content, and then in here we have where is the rest. So let's start from the top again. Translate the following to Italian. This is the human message. So we got the system message, which is this one, and you see the content is being is receiving the Italian or the language, and then here we pass the actual text to the human message. And then to look at the response, we could say let's use our parser. So let's say let's use the parser in here, but first let's see if we can see prompt results dot to chat messages. See if we can read it better, a little better this way. Save that, and here we have just the messages, so the system message. So we have the prompts here, translate the following to Italian, and then the human message is the text here. Cool. So now let's go ahead and see the AI message, which is what we're missing. So we could say, let's do const, and let's create another chain. Let's call this one LLM chain equals, and then we're going to use the prompt template that we created, and we're going to pass, and we need to use the pipe to create the pipe method to create the chain, and then we're going to need to pass the model, and then we need to, the model, we can do pipe again to pipe the parser. And now we're going to console log the message in a second, but let's recap really quick. In here, we created a prompt template, and the prompt template is going to give us this result here. We have the template where we can create a variable for the language, and here we can create a variable for the text. And now this prompt template is going to receive those two values. We're going to build the messages here using this prompt results, and then we can send this to the model. Right here we can just see just the messages, so we want to read them better, and this this prompt template, so with the models and everything else, all the information we saw earlier is going to be sent to the model. So it's going to be piped to the model, and the result from the model is going to be piped to the parser. So now we could just console log, and let's do let's invoke it. So let's say const results equals await LLM chain that invoke, and in here we need to pass the values that we want to send. So here we're gonna say a language, and the language again is gonna be Italian, and the message or the text is gonna be hello world. So we pass it here just to look at how the prompt looks, but when we call the invoke method, we need to pass it in here in order to invoke the chain and pass the values to the prompt template. So we can actually comment this out if we want now, because we tested the prompt and it looks good. We can console log result here to see the results. All right, so here we got the response. So I don't know Italian, so I will have to verify this, but in here we just changed the language, and make sure you check the response. I change to Spanish again, and we get the same response again. Cool. So right now we change the application to use a prompt template, and the prompt template is going to allow us to pass values into a template that we create. So we put together the template here, and we can invoke the template, and we can pipe different components. So we can call the model and then call the parser. So we can just invoke the chain that we create, the LLM chain we created here, and pass the values or the inputs that we need. Right? So instead of using this JavaScript tricks, we can just use the framework classes and tools that they have in order to create our chains and pass all the values we need. So now we pretty much can get rid of this here, and we can actually get rid of all of these here too. We're not using any of these anymore. And if we delete what we don't need, we don't even need these messages here anymore. We can delete all of that. So just with these few lines, we can pretty much just say we have the application ready. So we can even comment this out for now. And this is all we need. So we can use this chain that we created here, and we can now pass any language and any message that we want into here. So we can use this to turn this into a simple API, so we can test it with different values and see how it works. All right, so let's go ahead and let's stop the terminal in here, and let's comment these couple of lines out, and let's install Express so we can create a simple API. All right, let's run the server again, or the application. All right, we still have a console log here. Oh, I didn't save the file, that's why. Let me save it and let me import. Let's just do Express here. Let's create, skip Express there. Let's do the server here. Let's do the cons app equals Express, and then let's do, here we're gonna do our middleware for the application. No, we can keep it there. Let's see. Yeah, we can keep the app there. Let's see what else we got. Let me hide the terminal real quick so I can see everything. Let's have the, yeah, let's just put everything here. Let's go back to the comment. Let's have the app.listen here real quick. And then let's say, let's put the port here. And let's say app.listen on port. And there's console log. Server running on port. And then pass the port. Let's have middleware here. Let's do app.use so we can parse the data that we're gonna send, and let's do express.json. Let's have a quick route. App.get, or let's do app.post. And then we're going to, let's just do a /, and here we're gonna say language, so we can send a, we can say /API / translate /language. That's good. Let's pass the request handler here. And here we're going to bring in what we need. So let's see, we can bring this up to all the way up here, or even up here, so we can have this before. Try to organize it a little bit better. Then we have this prompt here. So these, all these lines, let's just grab all this, let's put it inside here. Let's have a try catch in here. And let's put it inside of the try. Okay, that's better. So we have our .env express all the LangChain stuff in here. We have the model, the parser, we have our express app, the pour, the middleware, so we can receive the data that we're going to be sending. We can use Postman, or you can use the Postman app if you have that. And then we're going to listen for requests here, and then we have a route in here of the post, and we have a new endpoint /API/translate. We need the language in order to pass this to the prompt in here. So we're gonna say language, and then this is gonna stay the same because this is just for the system template. But when we actually, let's bring this in, let's bring the LLM back in here, and then when we call this here, the language here, we're gonna use the parameter language in here, or let's say what else can we call it? Let's call this, instead of language, so we don't get confused with this, we can call it translate to, and this is the language that we're going to receive in the request, and then this variable we can use it and pass it to here. Instead of just saying Spanish, we're gonna say request that params dot translate to, and then the text we're gonna pass in request dot body in here. So then we're gonna wait for the response. We can console log the results, and then we could do rest.json, rest of status. We can leave it like that. Let's just do rest.json and pass in the results in here. That's simple enough. Cool. So now we have, let's check the terminal. Server is running on port 4000. We have our request handler here that we can now open up Postman here, or if you had the app, you can use it, create a new tab in here. And we're gonna make a request to localhost 4000 /API translate / and then we're gonna say let's do Spanish again so I can confirm that everything is working fine. Or we can do, yeah, let's do Spanish again. So we need to make a post request because we need to send data in here, raw, JSON, and here we're gonna do, so here we're gonna say, oh, so we need to say text. Let's say we want, this is the text to translate, and we need double quotes, and then here we're gonna have some text. Let's say hello world again, hello world API, just so we can have something different. Oops, I don't need to save anything there. But here we created a property called text, or say text to translate, text to translate. Cool. So we're gonna send a post request to this endpoint to translate to the language of our choosing, Spanish, and then we're gonna send the text to translate. So back in here, we're gonna receive the post request to the same path, and we're gonna use the translate to pass the language here, request that params the translate to, And then we're gonna do request for the text, request.body.text to translate in here. Cool, let's save it. And let's go and make the post request. And there we go. We have a response in here. This is the text that we received back, and everything looks fine. So we were able to create a simple server using Express, and we kept our model and parser up here. And then we put all the logic inside of a request handler, created a new path so we can send the request to, with the translate to parameter, which is being passed to the invoke method of the chain that we created. And then the text from the request.body is being passed to the text variable, which is going to go here. And that will generate the response. We console log in it and we send it back. We'll send it back in the response here. Now you can change the language here and send a new message. In here, let's do another one. And I gotta double check if this is the right translation, but this is right now giving us some Italian. We can test it with different languages, and I think that's it. Let me see. Yeah, everything is doing good. So let's just put a comment here. This is our chain. Here we get the result from the model or from the chain, because here we can have multiple ones depending on what we build here. We'll console log it, we'll respond back to the client, and that's it. There we go. So we put a quick API together, and we use the LangChain framework in order to talk to our model. In this case, we're using the OpenAI GPT-4o, but you can use any available models inside of the LangChain framework. So this is it for this one. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.